I'm sure you'll be relieved to know I'm not going to try and summarize, what has been a really wonderful day. I've learned so much, and I look forward to tonight and tomorrow to follow up with people on the ideas that have come out and dive in more deeply. And what I thought, talking with Steve Polasky, one of the organizers, obviously over the break, was that maybe what we could do is, given how forward-looking we are, unlike bacteria, think about what we could do together, following on a bunch of the comments, including just one-on-one conversations, about the state of the world, the state of our disciplines, how research can really activate, serve as a catalyst for change, given how urgent the issues are. So I thought I would just help close reflecting on what we might consider doing in some way or other, and maybe just sort of seeding conversations at the dinner table, thinking about the history of the fields that we're a part of today. What have the key moments been like in the past when they've made big advances and really contributed to improving societal well-being after, say, the Second World War? I'd love to hear more on that and maybe talk as a group about it some. And at other key times, thinking about developments in different parts of the world. And just getting really kind of tactical, what kinds of research topics can we, apart from, say, climate change, going beyond that and using that as a model, but make acceptable in more mainstream economics discussions, and how do we elevate, and bring visibility to the kind of work that we're bringing up here. Most people never think about this stuff and don't even know about the realms that we've talked about in here, and yet it's also crucial in some way. So what are the tricks we can learn from, more mainstream economics and the just incredible visibility that goes to issues just a few inches away or even central to what we're all doing, but packaged in a different way. So there are a lot of realms. One is just thinking ourselves somewhat personally about how we might want to contribute more to developing research and more to maybe opening opportunity for implementation. What should we think about as kind of leaders in this joint community, involving students or involving ourselves more in trying to implement and learn from implementation of the kinds of interventions that we've been talking about here. I also wonder just about tactically, making use of the national, through the National Academy of Sciences, what are the opportunities to bring a greater voice? I know it's tough, obviously in the US right now, but at a state level perhaps, or in the context of cities, in different arenas. There is a lot of stuff going on. There are huge events planned, for example, in California, with the governor strongly behind climate action and other kinds of changes that we have been suggesting for years as a community, such as, in managing for drought and building resilience along coastlines and things like that. Along the Bay Area, around San Francisco, there are investments now for a 3-meter sea level rise. And that's going in now with policy change, with a lot of private sector involvement and investment. And so I'm just trying to think of practical ways, both within the academy and through engaging maybe even a broader set of people. What about getting more business economists involved in our convenings like this, to think about how to innovate in research and move from knowledge more into training and action. So I have a lot of things that personally excite me, but rather than going through those, and they're mostly in the realm of doing something, knowing how severe the issues we face might play out to be and likely will. And yet, what an incredible moment we have to cooperate much more among ourselves and maybe deviate from whatever path we had in mind and do something bigger together. So if there's one or two suggestions or reactions that you want to give at the moment, let's take those, and then we'll have a great evening together and a wonderful talk coming up by Dave Tillman. Is this on target at all, Jim? Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the forums that you've been part of over the recent past that have brought business leaders together to talk about issues of sustainability? And the real question is, how has that worked? Have you managed to reach leaders in the business community and make them change behavior in ways that they can?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I'm really sorry that Jeff Heel isn't here, because early on he inspired a lot of this in his own work, and with great success. In recent times, we've, through the Natural Capital Project, and invite Steve to comment as well, I feel been overwhelmed with demand on the part of people typically either at the very top or more commonly kind of in the middle of big businesses like an outfit like Unilever, or there are a whole bunch of investment firms that want us to help them with basically analytics, as they'd put it, for improving their decision making. So in the context of Unilever, it's in the realm of product design and commodity or raw materials sourcing. And once you have the problem out there, then you see so many juicy research angles on it, and there's so many avenues really that could be pursued, and we tend to go as quickly to the heart of the matter in the simplest sort of first cut pass. But the work, I think, is very rewarding, both in a pure kind of academic context and in learning a lot more about opportunity and need. In the context of, I just had a meeting last week with all these different businesses coming together at, it's Lorene Powell Jobs, who, was married to Steve Jobs, now trying to figure out what to do with the billions of dollars, but trying to develop, pathways to green growth, say writ large, and inclusive growth. And there are just, again, a plethora of great ideas to tackle. And one of the big ones there is a major investment firm wants to screen their investments in a much more sophisticated way than is done by any of the firms or pension funds or others, even though a lot of them profess to having these values, like the Norwegian government pension fund, and yet the screens are incredibly simplistic now. A lack in the measures that we've talked about this morning that we can probably get starting soon, and then lack any sophistication in connecting those measures of natural capital, either dependencies or impacts on it, to what companies are doing. But I feel there's so much we could lay out in terms of a research agenda to be there and ready to meet decision makers when the time becomes ripe. And it is ripening often, and we just kind of miss that. So Steve, do you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to just say business at large.
Yeah.
There's so many, what I like, Gretchen, and you're laying out here, there are niches in business, like there are niches in ecology, and there are certain niches that right now are right. There's the head of a major corporation says, we've made a public pledge and we need to green our supply chain, and that's what this means, and I need the metrics in order to be able to accomplish this. Can you help? Perfect example where, if we have the research, it's ready to go, it could be implemented. and there are, the investment firms are also a really interesting place right now where there's real opportunity. I mean, there are people who want to be green investors, and they want to have, tell me that I'm really going to do well with my investing. There's other cases where, frankly, from my perspective, it gets very frustrating. So you're working with a company, and others in the room, I'm sure, this experience or other experiences are similar, where they'll profess they want to do the right thing, but companies are in business to make money. And there's a fundamental tension between doing, it's the free ride, it's the gravity of commerce, there's dilemma. What's good for their bottom line, and what's good for saving carbon or producing, clean water or whatever, are fundamentally different. There's a limit, how far you can push. And the really progressive companies will say, well, change the rules, regulate it so that you can correct this incentive. But those are only the really progressive firms.
But most of them know nothing of the research being done here. So even convenings, I think, would be potentially really productive. And I'm thinking, I don't know where Subrendu is, but of, oh, there you are. Just connecting to health metrics. Like it's come up with Karine and other bits of conversation this morning. We need measures. I didn't mean to imply anywhere in that we want to value everything in monetary terms, but we want to look at the range of consequences of different, types of change or impact. And in the health arena, there's so much desire for more understanding now. And the economics of all that is absolutely central. So anyway, I mainly see the side where there's need and interest. So I have a highly biased sample and agree with what Steve is saying in general. But I feel we could be really productive if we're moderately strategic in how we design opportunities to open up this new research problems and engagements with decision makers who can really make a difference. So Brendo, and then I'll
I understand that I'm standing between all of you and drinks, so this should be a quick question. Yeah, it's one of the things that was highlighted in the morning, and we've not really touched on this, right? So there's 3 themes of this conference: how to do the right science, what's the frontier of the science, how to do it more applied, and how to get academic institutions to encourage all this. So in response to your charge to us, what can the weight of the National Academy and this kind of a group help? I think it could address the last point, because it breaks my heart when Sai gets up there and he says he cannot hire an economist at Princeton who can work on somebody. But this is 2017, right? And we cannot even get over that.
Looking back.
So I think that's where the academy can make a difference, because academic institutions are slow moving, but they do respond eventually. And they are. Tomorrow I'm going to show you the glasses. I'll comment on how the glasses are half full rather than half empty, because compared to 1995, things have moved a lot, right? There's much more of this kind of going on. And yet, if we can't be fostering this is where the academy can help, I think. By making statements, by whatever other incentives that are out there that the university respond to in other academic institutions.
Great. Well, with that wonderful impetus, let's look forward to a great evening together. Let's see if maybe in the morning we can even follow up further. I'd love, as one of the co-organizers, to receive any suggestions, and we'll scheme a little bit and maybe report back to the group. So thanks for a fabulous day, and looking forward to much more tonight and tomorrow.